event. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar about cross-border taxes and VAT with Taxology and Frisbo. Letizia, thank you for your message. You shouldn't have your own camera now. This is going to be a webinar where the attendees don't have the camera turned on. It is going to be us three with the cameras, and let me introduce my colleagues that we are going to talk with. First of all, we have Robert, who is representative of Taxology, and he's going to be responsible for answering all your questions via the chat. So because of the constrained time, we don't really have time for in-meeting questions. That's why we have Robert, and he's going to answer all the questions that you have in the chat. You can use the chat on the bottom right corner. Just type in your question, and you're going to get an answer pretty quickly. Hello, Emil. Hi, Andrei. And then we also have Michal, who is a tax expert. He's a tax advisor who is operating closely with Taxology, and he's specializing in today's subject in VAT for e-commerce, and he's very knowledgeable about cross-border selling. So I'm very happy to be able to present this topic with him, because myself, my name is Tomasz, and I'm a marketing manager at Frisbo, and I'm not very good with taxes. So this is going to be very informative for me also. I hope that I'm going to get some reliable information, and I hope that you too are going to get the same reliable information about this topic. I'm just going to give word to Michal, let him introduce himself and talk a little bit about the subject, and get into the actual meat.
So let me introduce myself. Good morning and welcome to our e-commerce tax webinar. My name is Michał Krzewiński. As Tomasz told, I'm a tax advisor specializing in e-commerce. Today I'm excited to share with you some, I believe, valuable insight into the latest tax regulation, compliance obligation, and the best practices that business in the e-commerce industry need to know. Whether you are a small startup or a large enterprise, this webinar will provide, I believe, will provide with practical tips and strategies to navigate the complex world of e-commerce. And now I'd like to hand things over to our host, who will ask questions, and I will do my best to provide you with comprehensive answers.
Yeah, we've prepared with a couple of questions that should be very relevant to you as well. I know they are very relevant to my situation, so I hope that we are on the same page there. And also I'm gonna I need to point out that you're going to get the recording of the webinar afterwards. So don't worry if you if you cannot pay full attention during this this hour. You're gonna be able to rewatch it later. So let's just get into the actual questions, and the first one is a very basic one. It's is the foundation of this subject, and I'm asking you, Michal, when do I and our participants need VAT compliance services in the EU?
The question seems to be easy, but as the practice showed, it's not always. So in general, if you sell goods or services in the European Union, you need to comply with VAT rules. This applies to businesses from both inside and also from outside of the EU. So to make sure that you are compliant, you may need VAT compliance if you are registered for VAT in the EU. It seems obvious, but if your business is registered for VAT in the EU, you must comply with VAT regulation in the country when you are registered. Secondly, if you sell goods or services in the EU, so consequently, if your business is based outside of the EU, but you sell, for example, to individual customers in the EU, you must comply with the EU regulation of the country where your customer is located. Thirdly, if you store goods in the EU. It's the most common practice. If your business stores goods in EU country as part of your business activities, you might need to comply with VAT regulation in that country. And lastly, if you are an online marketplace, if your business runs an online marketplace with third-party sellers selling goods or services, you might need to comply with VAT regulation. So actually, you must comply with VAT regulation because you are deemed to be a taxpayer instead of those sellers. Just to sum up, the VAT regulations can be complex and differ by country. So it's always wise to seek advice from professional VAT compliance service provider or tax advisor to make sure that you are fully compliant with the VAT regulations in the EU.
Awesome. All right. We can just move on to the next one. Is what are the procedures for accounting with VAT on online sales within the EU?
There are two ways to account for VAT on online sales within the EU. Let's say the traditional one and the simpler one. The traditional way requires businesses to register for VAT in each country where they sell goods or services once they reach a revenue threshold. This means that you must account for VAT on intra-community distance sales in each country where you sell goods or services. For example, if your business is in Romania and you sell goods or services to non-VAT registered customers in Germany, Poland, Slovakia, and the total sales value to these customers is over 10,000 euros, you need to register for VAT in all three countries. Then you need to pay VAT based on the local regulations of each country where goods or services are delivered. However, since July 1st, 2021, there is a simpler way to account for VAT called VAT-OSS. This new procedure allows businesses to avoid registering for VAT in other EU countries and instead account for VAT on intra-community distance sales of goods in the country where they are registered. So in the country of identification. If you are selling goods or services online within the EU, you can choose either the traditional method or the new VAT-OSS procedure to account VAT. So it's important to know that the best option for your business will depend on various factors, such as countries where you sell goods or services and the volume of your sales. The other factor that should be considered that if you have stocks in any other country than your country of residence. So, please, Thomas, go to the next one.
Yeah, of course. And you mentioned the terminology of VAT-OSS. I myself haven't heard that, so we're gonna get to that soon. But I have an additional question before that. Is someone sells on a small scale like I do? Do we account for VAT as they were selling only, or in their own selling only in our own country, or cross borders as well?
So you mean that this sell on the small scale less than that 10,000 euro threshold?
Yes.
Okay. So if a business sells to individual customers in the EU countries on a small scale, and they don't reach that 10,000 euro threshold, they maybe use VAT rules of their home country. So you don't need to register for VAT or use that VAT-OSS scheme, and the businesses, if they fall below that threshold, they can keep charging VAT rate of their home country and report the sales only only locally on their local VAT returns. However, you must remember that if your sales exceed that threshold and you are not enrolled for VAT-OSS on time, you will need to register in each country where you sell goods or services and charge local VAT. So if you sell to individuals, it's always wise to closely look at your sales, and if you are see that you will reach that threshold within the year, you need to think about enrolling for VAT-OSS on time.
Okay, so can you tell me more about this OSS?
Of course. So VAT-OSS means Value Added Tax One-Stop Shop. It's a handy scheme for businesses that sell goods or services to customers in the EU. That scheme allows these businesses to register for VAT in just one EU member state and submit a single quarterly VAT return and payment for the total sale across the EU. So this means that businesses no longer need to register for VAT in every country that they sell goods or services, and as a result, the scheme simplifies compliance obligation and reduces administrative costs for these businesses.
So, are there any risks for me to sell VAT-OSS cross-border?
Yeah, but selling goods or services across EU borders can be tricky if business don't use the VAT-OSS scheme. This is simply because it can lead to various compliance obligations and potential penalties when selling across EU borders. After exceeding the threshold, usually businesses have to register for VAT in the country when they have customers and charge the appropriate VAT rate. And failing to do so can result in fines, penalties, even legal action taken by tax authorities. So you must remember that you cannot enroll for VAT-OSS scheme retroactively. So you need to remember that you should do it in advance before exceeding €10,000 threshold. So you might do so only until the 10th date of the month following the month when you reach the threshold. If you do it later, the VAT-OSS will be active from the first month of the next quarter. So you always need to track your sale and to enroll for VAT-OSS scheme on time.
And then, so once I've declared for this OSS VAT procedure, what do I do with my foreign VAT registrations that I already have?
So if you have enrolled for VAT-OSS procedure, maintaining foreign registration might not be necessary in most cases. The VAT-OSS scheme can be used to settle VAT on cross-border sales of goods and services to customers, simplifying compliance obligation. However, it is important to know that if you sell goods to customers through a warehouse located in the country of residence, you cannot use VAT-OSS. So in such case, you must recognize domestic supply and settle them in a local tax returns, which require registering for VAT in that country. And similarly, if you use a warehouse located in another country, generally requires registration for VAT in that country. So when you move goods between warehouses located in different EU countries, such movements are deemed as intra-community supply and intra community acquisition of goods respectively in those two countries, and you must properly report those movements in local VAT returns in those countries.
All right. That's understandable for me. I hope for the audience as well. And of course, feel free to ask any questions in the chat if you want more specific or detailed explanations about a topic. And then my next question is a broad one, so I hope that you have a broad answer to it. Is when is it necessary to register for VAT in other countries?
So as I mentioned before, it is necessary to register for VAT in other EU countries if we use warehouse located in that country, or if we deliver goods to another country with the installation. Because normally in B2B delivery, in case of installation of goods, we don't need to register for VAT, as the customer can settle VAT using the reverse charge mechanism that can be used with B2C sales. So if a business sells goods to individual customers in another country and also installs those goods, they may need to register for VAT in that country. Example, if I, as private customer, want to have a brewery installation in my basement and buy that in the Czech Republic and ask the seller to install it here in Poland, the seller would need to be registered for VAT in Poland, unfortunately. So there are two cases to remember. If you have a stock in another country, if you provide installation of the goods you sell.
All right. Okay, I understand that. I myself, I have an accountant in Hungary and in Romania to handle the VAT for me, because I work in both countries. But as a cross-border e-commerce company, that you don't only work with two countries, you work with 5 or 6 or even 12. If you want to cover the whole of Europe, so that can be a lot of extra costs and an extra overhead with having an accountant in each country. So can you tell me if there are any situations where I don't have to hire an accountant?
So you can, for example, let's do it Taxology. Taxology can handle VAT compliance in other EU countries, so you don't need to hire a separate accountant. However, you must remember that Taxology does only VAT compliance. We don't do accounting. So if you need full compliance, for accounting service, then you will need to seek help of a local accountant.
I understand. Can you give me, if I may, can you give me an example of a situation where I can handle the accounting through Taxology, and a situation where I would have to hire an accountant?
So for example, if you have a simple intra-community distance sale of goods or services, Taxology can handle with your VAT compliance. But if you have a branch, for example, in another country, so the branch requires full accounting. So then you will need to seek advice of accounting company in that country.
All right, I understand. So if I'm in a situation where I need to seek the accountant, and I need to register for the VAT, how long do you think it would take me?
If you need to register for VAT in a European country, you must keep in mind that the process can take anywhere from 1.5 up to 6 months. So depending on the country. So currently registration for VAT is the quickest in Germany, in Poland, in Czech Republic, while takes the longest in Spain and Great Britain. So you can wait up to 6 months for being registered there. So if you have a question about the specific country, so you can reach out to Taxology directly, and we will handle it.
All right. A follow-up question to that is if I need to choose my warehouses based on these data items, if I need to choose a warehouse based on where it is shorter to easier to deal with the VAT.
Okay, so the country where the warehouse is located does not generally matter. While there, as I said, might be differences in VAT registration time and the reporting regulations. But this should not be the main factors in choosing the warehouse location. So instead, logistics consideration and the customer's experience should be the primary focus. So if you have a lot of customers in a given country, you can think about having a warehouse there.
All right, that's eye-opening because I am a marketing professional. I'm going to choose my warehouse locations based on my customers' needs anyway. So it's good that I know that I don't need to worry about taxes and accounting when I make that decision. And I also have a hypothetical scenario for you. Let's say I have a company in Poland and I have applied for VAT-OSS. However, I do have stock in Germany and Slovakia or any other EU country. Do I need the VAT number in these countries separately, or does my OSS?
So you have a company registered for VAT-OSS system in Poland, and you have stock in other countries like Germany and Slovakia. The VAT-OSS will not be sufficient for that business. So registration for VAT in those countries is generally necessary, as the VAT-OSS simplification can only be used for intra-community distance sales of goods or services. So if you have stocks in other countries, you must not only show your warehouse movements of goods in VAT returns, but also local sales if the recipients resides in the country where the warehouse from which you sent the goods is located. So the delivery for the German customer from the German warehouse should be reported locally in Germany. It can be, you cannot use a VAT-OSS system for that reporting. So therefore, answer your question, you will need to register for VAT in both Germany and Slovakia in this case.
All right, that was quite clear. And then this is my favorite question of all of the questions that I'm going to ask today because it is relevant to myself. I'm going to ask you about the most common VAT mistake.
Excuse me. Our practice shows that the one of the most common VAT mistake is not registering for VAT in countries where company has stock. It shouldn't be, but it occurs a lot of time that the companies don't register it, and they need to do it retroactively. Another mistake is late registration for VAT-OSS in cross-border sales, which can result in the need to register for VAT in the countries where goods or services are sold. The next one is applying incorrect VAT rates in different countries, because you must remember that each country has flexibility in setting their rates. So late submission of VAT returns and tax payments is another common mistake that can lead to penalties and interest on late payment. And lastly, incorrectly identifying services as digital services. Because you must remember that electronic services are only those delivered without human involvement. And therefore, not all services provided electronically fall under digital services.
Yeah, that's good to know. And contrary to what I stated at the beginning of this webinar, I'm going to ask you a question that we got from Joanna in the chat, because would like to know the specifics of the time it takes to register VAT in Romania, Slovakia, Hungary, and Bulgaria.
Hmm.
Can you tell
So,
me?
as far as I know, the registration in those countries doesn't take long, but you must count 1 up to 2 months.
All right, so up to 2 months there, so we don't wait the 6-month maximum, but we should expect.
Yeah, the longest time is in Great Britain, in Spain. I don't know why, because the Great Britain was the most, they have most friendly administration, but after Brexit something went wrong.
Yeah, I've been hearing that from our clients and from our partners as well. That is a general problem across the industry. And you're very welcome, Joanna, for the answer. Thank you for asking that question. And we're going to move to a different, somewhat different topic about the differences between EU and non-EU countries. So let's say that we are a company that's registered outside of the EU, and we need to start selling inside the European Union. What do we need?
So what you need? Unfortunately, the best way to start businesses in Europe is establishing a subsidiary here in Europe, because it seems to be the cheapest way. But however, if you are non EU entities and looking to start selling in EU, those businesses are generally required to register for VAT and appoint a tax representative in the country where they are registered for VAT. However, this requirement doesn't apply to entities from the EU and Norway when it comes to doing business, for example, in Poland. Therefore, UK and Norwegian companies can register for VAT in Poland without the need to appoint the tax representative. And as far as I know, most countries have the same facilitation for businesses from UK and Norway. But entities from other non-EU countries registering for VAT in the country when they have a warehouse from which delivers are made is necessary before starting sales to EU customers. In addition, they must appoint a tax representative in the country of registration. So if they have warehouses in a few countries, they need to appoint a tax representative in each country they are registered. And it's worth noting that the tax representative is jointly responsible for the VAT obligation of that represented entity. So finding a VAT representative can be costly, because they usually have high fees for those services. So it can be wise to establish a subsidiary here in Europe. This is the main formal obligation for non-EU entities before starting sales in Europe. And if a non-EU entity wants to conduct intra-community distance sales of goods, they can use also VAT-OSS simplification or register for VAT in all the countries to which they sell goods. However, if non-EU entity sells goods to customers in the EU on using internet platform, the platform operator is responsible for VAT settlement for that sales. Nevertheless, if the entity has a warehouse in the EU from which they sell, they still have obligation to register for VAT in the country where the warehouse is located. The situation is somehow different for the sale of imported goods by distance. So if we sell goods worth less than 150 euros in one shipment through the internet platform, the platform operator is responsible for VAT settlements for the sales. However, if non-EU entity sells goods in shipment exceeding 150 euros, there are two possibilities for them. The first is that the recipients of goods is responsible for customs clearance and payment of VAT. And the second is to use the VAT-OSS procedure. To use this procedure, it is first necessary to appoint intermediary. The intermediary enrolls that entity for IOSS, because the non-EU entity can do it by themselves. They need the intermediary that will act in their name. So such an enrollment can be done in any EU country, and then non-EU entity selling imported goods by distance is not required for VAT registration in the EU, because the intermediary is use their registration to settle VAT for them.
Okay, that was a. I think the your answer already covered this, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because we got a specific question about this topic from Bogdan, asking which country is better for setting up. What country do you recommend? And his example is about the U.S. company looking to sell in the EU, but I think it's just a general non-EU situation. And what I would like to know about this, if it's really important, if I should sacrifice any of my marketing decisions because of this. If yeah.
Excuse me. Could you repeat, because I haven't heard your full question.
Yeah, of course. I think the client tells me that I'm dropping my internet a couple of seconds. So yeah, again, it tells me that. So I'm sorry if it's not intelligible what I'm saying, but Bogdan asked what country specifically is better, or what do you recommend for setting up inside the European Union?
I wouldn't like to recommend any country. I know that Poland is a very business-friendly country to set up a business here, and we have a very friendly tax administration. So and you can set up a business here in Poland within a few weeks, and register for VAT also takes 2 weeks. So comparing to other countries that I thought that they are more business friendly. So Poland is really a business friendly country to set up a business here.
All right, thank you. But then my follow-up question is, if I should sacrifice my marketing or sales goals, because if I should sacrifice my marketing or sales goals because of this, meaning if it makes sense for me to open shop in Germany or in France or India, should I move to a different country based on the VAT registration rules?
I don't follow your questions.
No worries. I'm trying to refer to the previous point that we've made about having your sales goals lead you to a country where it makes more sense to you to go to, and not choosing it based on the VAT rules of the specific country.
So you need to follow your client, not VAT regulations.
Yeah. All right. We also have some questions from Akshat and Letizia, but I think we should move on with my prepared questions for a bit, and then we're probably going to have time at the end for a Q&A session, so we can ask those questions then. Okay. So my next question is if a fiscal cash register is necessary when documenting OSS VAT.
In general, no. A fiscal cash register is not necessary when documenting VAT OSS sales. However, it's important to note that this exemption applies only if the payment is made through a bank account. So if a sale is made on a cash on delivery basis, it must be registered on a fiscal cash register if your sales to individuals exceed a certain threshold. So, but it's also important to consider that regulation may vary by country. So it's essential to refer to specific regulation of the country where the business is based, because in Poland there are different regulations in that respect, and I believe in Romania is quite different. So you need to refer to your to the regulations of the country of residence of the business.
All right. And then what language should I invoice it in, and which currency should I use?
So if you sell goods to customer in other EU countries and you use VAT-OSS simplification, you usually don't need to issue invoice. But if you need to issue invoice, you should follow the regulation of the country where you are based. So those regulations usually don't specify in which language or currency that the invoice should be issued, but it's best to use currency you are selling in. So if you're selling in euro, you should invoice in euro. However, you must remember that the country of residence might require the VAT amount to be expressed in the local currency. For example, in Poland, VAT always should be expressed in Polish zlotys. So this rule applies to all invoices, not only local but also for distant sales.
All right. And then how do I determine the reduced VAT rates for foreign sales?
So it's a challenging task because general information on reduced rates can be found on governmental websites, and also European Commission publishes comparative tables when you can find information about reduced rates in different countries, but this information is indicative only and cannot be used for business decisions. So to find binding information in that respect, it's necessary to refer to legislation of individual countries. So it's the best to consult with local tax authorities or seek professional advice to ensure compliance with the applicable regulations.
All right. Thank you for that. And I'm going to move to the B2B side of this, ask a question for the B2B clients that you might have, because I want to know if there are any differences regarding the VAT on the B2B side, if I can do anything to make VAT rate 0%.
So when it comes to B2B sales, there are some differences regarding VAT compared to B2C sales. So in case of B2B sales, we are dealing with intra-community supply of goods, and we are entitled to apply zero VAT rate. However, certain condition must be met to apply that rate. So first, purchaser and the seller need to be VAT registered for inter-community transactions. So it's not enough to be registered simply for VAT. Both seller and the purchaser must be registered for intra-community transactions in the country when the goods are dispatched and when they are delivered. So and then to prove that the goods subject to intra-community supply have been dispatched from the country and delivered to the purchaser in another member state, we need to provide evidence. Such evidence may include transport documents CMR document and the specification of individual pieces of cargo. Other documents that confirm delivery to the purchasers located in another member state may also be used. However, it is necessary to submit EC sales list to be able to apply zero, because if you don't submit EC sales list on time, you can simply not be able to use the zero rate. So it's also important to know that individual countries may have specific regulations regarding the evidence required to apply zero, and this regulation may vary in the level of strictness of leniency. So generally, you need to have evidence that the goods were moved from one country to another.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. That was very insightful. And I have one last question that I want to ask you. It's about market platforms. If the VAT accounting differs on these marketplace platforms, then for any other channel that I'm
I'm not an expert in that respect, but the VAT settlement procedure should be no different. However, depending on marketplace, access to sales data, the scope of access and to data on inter-warehouse movements, so may differ. So therefore, in the case of several online channels, including sales via marketplace, it's useful to automate and unify the collected data.
Okay. Thank you. Those were all my questions, and it was really insightful for me personally. But we also have a couple of questions from the audience. We have some time to answer. I'm gonna give you like a half a minute to like catch your breath, because this was really intense. And thank you for going through these questions. So
I will try. I can see question from Emir Daniel. I don't know if I pronounce it properly. My company is registered in the UK. My main target market is the UK, Germany, Netherlands, France, Belgium, Spain, and Italy. I will launch my product in the UK first, and would open for international shipping to the following countries above. Do I need to register for VAT-OSS in EU once I reach a certain threshold, or is it recommended that I registered for VAT already early without reaching the threshold? So if your company is registered in the UK, you cannot use OSS VAT scheme in Europe. You can use IOSS VAT for imported goods. So it's quite different procedure. So if you want to sell to Europe and you don't have presence here in Europe, you need to appoint an entity that will act on your behalf and enroll the company for import OSS VAT scheme.
All right. Thank you for answering that. And Amir, if you have follow-up questions, make sure to type them in. And we also have a question from Letizia Di Maio. She says, if, for example, if you have some stock in Ireland where the VAT registration is mandatory only after reaching a threshold, would VAT registration still be mandatory in Ireland before that company reaches the threshold?
So you must remember that the threshold is only for the companies that are seated in that country. The threshold doesn't apply for foreign businesses. So if you are foreign businesses in Ireland, you must be registered for VAT before first business activity there.
Yeah, I think that answers. Thank you very much. And I also can. I'm going to have to because I have two cats. I'm a big cat owner. I'm gonna have to ask you the name of the black cat that we saw sneaking up on the background.
It's a great cat. Actually, it's Joy.
Oh, Joy. That's such a beautiful name. Yeah. All
Yes,
right.
she's very joyful.
Back to some more present topics such as VAT. Akshat is asking, we are in food supplements business and free warehouse we have, and we have VAT numbers for all countries. And every month we are investing a lot of time to manage and control VAT. So do you have any solution or any advice for this?
So I'm afraid not. Uh, you can, for example, hire Taxology for that, and we have the solution to cope with many VAT registration in different countries.
Yeah, so you're gonna need outside help for that, Akshat,
Mhm.
pretty much. Okay, I can see that somebody is typing, so we're gonna wait a couple of
Mhm.
minutes for that, but that's all the questions that we had so far.
Mm.
I would like to thank you, Michal, for doing this webinar with me. It was very insightful, especially for my situation. And also, if you have any other questions to Michal, to me, to Robert, to Taxology, or Frisbo, you can send me or send us an email replying to the recording that you'll be getting. So after this webinar is over, you're going to be getting the recording of it via email. You can rewatch it anytime. You can share it with anybody. And then if you need any extra advice, you can also, or if you need assistance, you can also look for Taxology on their website. And you can also check out frisbo.eu. I haven't really talked about Frisbo because this webinar has mostly been about taxes, VAT, and accounting. But I have to mention that Frisbo is a cross-border logistics company. We are a one-stop solution for e-commerce businesses in Europe to sell cross-border. We handle your warehousing, and we actually do everything from pick and packing to returns. We also manage that, and we are working on an integrated interface, a solution where you can see and manage all your logistics in real time. So make sure to check out our website to get some more details over there. If you click like right above me, there's a green button saying "Learn More." You can read some more about Frisbo and see if it's a match for your business. And then I think that is so 47 minutes of this webinar. That is pretty much what time we've had. Um, I would like to thank you again, Michal, as I already did a couple of times because
You are welcome. It's been a pleasure.
yeah, this must have been really intense for you because just the sheer amount of information that we received in this webinar is amazing. And then just one last answer to Akshat. Yes, Frisbo is in France. We are present in more than 30 countries in Europe. So you can check out the website. There's a sign up form, or you can just email us or get in touch with us through our social media pages, and we'll be happy to give you some more details about Frisbo's expansions and then what we can help you with. All right. I would like to wish you a great day and a great week. All right. So yeah, I was actually dragging a little bit of time because I've seen that Emir Daniel has been writing. So let's see what he writes. Thank you for your reply, Michal. Really appreciate the concise and packed answer. Well understood that I need an IOSS VAT instead, as I do not have any presence in the EU, as importation of goods and warehousing is also in the UK. Could you please explain further on the company that I need to appoint to handle the IOSS VAT for my company?
So actually, I don't have any company at heart. So if you can drop me an email, I will think about that company that I could recommend you to handle iOS for VAT for your company.
Yeah. And as I said, you're going to get an email after this webinar, so you can just reply to that email and we'll get the message to Michal and to somebody who can actually help you. Thank you, Amir. And then I think this is goodbye. So have a great day, and we'll see you on the next webinar.
So thank you again for joining this webinar.
Goodbye.
Thanks.